Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington are ahead of the curve. But why? Together, let's find out while breaking down their high-level second meeting in the octagon. The fight starts. Right away, Chaos shows us a gigantic reason why him and Kamaru are at the top. Indeed, in MMA, a well-rounded game is everything. Possessing multiple weapons is everything. The more ways you have to make your opponent feel threatened, the better. And that is exactly what this position accomplishes. When Colby is dipping his head like that, Usman has to worry about the straight left, the overhand, a possible body kick, a left high kick, the right uppercut, the left uppercut. Or it could only be a feint. And of course, Colby could also commit for the takedown. All those possibilities, starting from one position, are tied together by the grappling threat. Over the course of the fight, Covington is going to shoot in for a distance takedown at least once in every round, which is going to keep the grappling threat very much alive in Usman's head. But Usman possesses something that no other welterweight has: the confidence in his ability to stop whatever Colby Covington has to offer. Normally, people crumble under all the threats shown by Chaos. They feel overwhelmed, they don't want to be taken down or hit by 4 punches in a row, so they take a step back and melt under Colby's pressure. But Kamaru knows he can stop the takedown if that's what Covington decides to do. He also knows he's prepared for any strike, so he's got the luxury to wait, to stay where he is and defend the strike he deems the most likely, while never panicking. After that, he can always respond with his jab if he wants to, and because of all that, Colby's pressure is not half as effective against the welterweight champion. On the other hand, Kamaru's pressure seems to have basically the same effect on Colby as it has on other contenders, because the Nigerian Nightmare possesses a quality jab and serious power behind his strikes. That power is what gets him so many defensive reactions from Covington. When he throws a jab or a jab feint, or when he dips his head similarly to what Colby does, Chaos gives a lot of respect to his game, and that's mainly because of that proven KO power that he's already felt before. For that reason, Usman seems to bother him, even with his most subtle feints. Just like Colby, Kamaru Usman likes to set up his offense by mixing in the takedown threat. From that position, he can throw a straight right, a switch right hand, or simply a takedown feint, among other things. He's got less combos than his counterpart from this position, but his power makes his opponent very hesitant. Same goes for the jab or the jab feint. It's like they almost force Covington to back away. That being said, Colby is able to vary his offense, attacking from both stances. For example, he likes to dip his head when he's orthodox too, and he's got a lot of setups from there also. From that position, he can throw a right hand followed by a left, a right hand followed by a high kick, a feint right switch left hand to the body, followed by a right hook, a feint right switch left feint, followed by a kick, an overextended uppercut to southpaw, and he can decide to proceed all of those combos with a jab if he wants to. As you can see, he's got options. Plus, he's got other weapons that don't start with him dipping his head, his naked kicks for example. His counters are also very much in play, but they seem to bounce off Usman's head like they're not even stinging. So when Colby comes in with a huge attack, Kamaru can afford to not panic, and on this occasion, he times the takedown attempt perfectly. Another thing that favorizes Kamaru in this fight is the available opening for his left hook. Indeed, Colby's arm is sometimes very low, and the left hook from Usman is perfect to exploit that tendency. Second round, Kamaru, as usual, is showing championship movement. An inexperienced fighter would simply follow his opponent in a straight line, but that would give Colby the opportunity to keep circling towards space. Instead, Usman moves to his side, effectively cutting the octagon. That way, whichever side Colby chooses to move into, his back will still be close to the cage. Again, masterful pressure from the champ. Here, Colby mixes it up and throws an uppercut lead before dipping his head, setting up the overhand. This type of varied offense normally overwhelms people, but Usman has such a quality jab, he can intercept Colby before the combo even starts. Not to mention his 100% success in stopping takedowns, which gives him a lot of confidence in his overall defense. But failing to bring Usman down is not the end of the world for Colby. It simply reinforces his setups when he dips his head. It keeps the threat in the champion's mind. And that's a very important thing, because Kamaru is very hard to hit clean. The way he moves his head in the pocket makes it almost impossible to hurt him without an upward trajectory strike, because his iron chin is well protected, and even when the uppercut is launched towards him, he can still slip it and counter it beautifully. Here, we see Usman closing the distance with this attack, but Colby actually intercepts him with a jab on the chin. This sequence is so reminiscent of the Ngannou vs Miocic rematch, because Colby thinks he just hurt his opponent cause he saw him losing balance, so he decides to rush in, clearly eager to strike, loading up too. And just like Miocic, Covington gets blasted by a short left hook that separates him from his senses. Unlike Stipe, he gets back up, but he's giving the same opening over his right shoulder, and Usman capitalizes by knocking him down one more time. This should be it. But shockingly, after a few seconds of recovery time, Colby appears to be totally fine, which is clearly due to his conditioning, but still unreal. Third round. To give himself a bit of space, Covington adds one more trick to his arsenal, and for a moment, he pushes back Usman. But right away, Kamaru responds with an exaggerated level change feint, which sets up the big right hand that knocked out Jorge Masvidal. And that's what makes Usman the best in the world. His total package offense has to be feared and respected. And his defense is almost impenetrable because of his confidence in defending strikes or grappling from anyone. Oh, and did I mention a great balance between cardio and power, a long reach of 76 inches, and the shape of a Greek god? Is he unbeatable? Well, in MMA, he might be. But let's be honest.
You don't want to fight now.
Indeed, like we said earlier, Usman does a good job of slipping punches and uppercuts, but mainly because his opponents are predictable with their combos. It's always a left, then a right, a left, then a right. That's not what an elite boxer would do. I just really hope Usman stays in this sport. The sport where he's the best. The sport where it's possible to mix everything together.
I might not be the best striker in the world. I might not be the best pure wrestler in the world. But when it comes to mixing this up, I'm the best welterweight on the planet right now.
The sport where he can use his level change feint to set up a jab to the body, or a vicious left hook to the midsection, or even a monstrous right hook to the belly. MMA was made for the Nigerian Nightmare, whom, despite getting close, still has never been officially taken down in the UFC. But once we get to the fourth round, something changes. Colby is starting to realize that if he attacks Kamaru right after Kamaru stops punching, he's more successful. He's also beginning to have a better understanding of Usman's timing, especially for his jab. He starts slipping it more regularly. So now he's able to kill two birds with one stone, defend the jab, and use his level change feint setups at the same time. Here, from the orthodox stance, he goes for an uppercut, followed by a left hook, making Usman pay for his jab. And then, from the southpaw stance, same principle. Covington throws a left straight, followed by an uppercut. A few seconds later, Chaos times the jab again and goes in for the takedown. That is still not enough to put Kamaru on his back. But it doesn't matter, because by giving Usman no space and by mixing in new combos, Colby obtains more success than ever before. If only he had power. Even a brand new combo ending up with his most powerful, cleanest strike isn't enough to put the champion down. Last round. Another sweet uppercut lands for Colby. Again, he thinks he hurt him. He doesn't want to let him breathe, and while rushing in to close the show, he gets wobbled by Usman. He's so goddamn tough though. He keeps piecing up Usman on the feet with his strategy. If only he could take Kamaru down. Towards the end of the fight, we see what the difference is between the two best fighters at 170. Colby intercepts Usman being careless, the same way Usman intercepted Colby at the end of the second round. The difference is precision, technique, but mainly power. The impacts of their respective shots are not comparable. Because of that, Usman seems to have the advantage in a 5-round fight because of his ratio between power and cardio. But what about a 7-round fight or a 10-round fight? I guess we'll never know. Nevertheless, Kamaru and Colby are at the top for good reasons. Both have an extremely well-rounded game, and they're both durable as hell. No wonder their two fights were so close. That was such an interesting fight to break down. It took me a lot of time to analyze, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like and subscribe. I just want to specify, this video wasn't the story of all of Kamaru's offense and all of Colby's offense. This video was the story of the part of their offense that makes them so hard to beat, the part of their offense that allows them to apply heavy pressure on their opponents. I hope you like the concept of the video. If you want to hear my reactions to every UFC event, follow me on Patreon. That would be super helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.